3 platinum albums between them in 1 year. These two sons of New York were about to embark on the most ambitious tour hip-hop had ever seen. The tour that would save hip-hop. By 1998, hip-hop was a smash hit, a true cultural phenomenon. But it wasn't yet as big as rock or pop, and one main reason for that was the lack of big touring opportunities for hip-hop's largest acts. Even Big and Tupac couldn't fill stadiums off their own back, and due to hip-hop's violent image, which by the way is totally wrong, and I'm writing a whole other video on that, subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Anyway, hip-hop's violent image was preventing investment in these huge tours, and that scared insurance companies off so they wouldn't work with promoters, and then ultimately there were a lot of venues that simply just wouldn't carry hip-hop acts. The low profile of black music more generally on the concert scene is underscored by this list of the top 50 US tours of 1996. While the tours in total grossed nearly $750 million, only 2 of those were primarily featuring black music. That's R. Kelly's tour and the Smoking Grooves tour. Now, those 2 grossed $15 million between them. The only way for hip-hop to break through was with one of music's biggest assholes, here played by Damon Dash, and hip-hop's 2 biggest stars, DMX coming off his multi-platinum album year, and Jay-Z hot on the heels of his 3rd smash hit album. If hip-hop was going to make a blockbuster tour work, it needed names like these on the poster. Not that they were alone. Method Man and Redman were on the ticket, along with a whole host of Rough Rider and Rockefeller artists. This is the Hard Knock Life tour, and this is the moment of 1999.
I just want to see it run its course all the way through. It's going to be a great day for hip-hop.
What's the difference? More people, louder screams, got a bigger stage to roam on.
Being on this tour, and in the right place at the right.
What made this such an important moment is that hip-hop hadn't seen a tour this ambitious in over a decade. With the rise in popularity of gangster rap, along with the recent murders of Biggie Smalls, no, not that Biggie Smalls, and Tupac, hip-hop's commercial image had taken a dive. Not only was this an ambitious tour, but it was imperative for the culture that it went well. People were saying someone's going to die on that tour, Dash recalled. But after 11 weeks on the road, playing in sold-out arenas from Canada to Texas, there was no violence and there were no fights. Until Hard Knock Life proved itself. Hip-hop acts really had 2 choices. They could play smaller venues and a shorter touring schedule, or they could tack on a rock or pop act to make the whole package seem safer and give promoters and insurance companies more confidence. But if ever there was someone who wasn't going to settle for the safer route, it was Damon Dash. He knew the risks involved. He knew that if this tour backfired, hip-hop touring in general would be set back 5 years or maybe more. And so the team set out to ensure that nothing could go wrong. In addition to traditional security, they hired members of the Nation of Islam to stand around the stage and establish a presence. And you know, there was no trouble. In fact, they went one better than no trouble. In the aftermath of the Columbine tragedy, which happened while they were still on tour, they made the decision to donate all proceeds from the next night's show to families of the victims. As cynical a take as this is, I wanted to share this from Dan Runke at Trapital. A reporter interviewed Tai Tai and asked why they weren't watching gangster movies.
We just watched Good Will Hunting just now, and that's not a gangster flick. We got As Good As It Gets in the movie, we got Braveheart, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is what kind of shit we watch, not all gangster movies, you know what I'm saying?
Knowing how particular Dash was about minor details, him intentionally stocking the tour bus with crowd-pleasing films is believable. Sure, Tai Tai might have genuinely liked these films, but they knew the message that would send. They knew this tour had to go well. Not just one thing or two things, but everything about it had to be right. And they pulled it off. They ran 54 cities and they grossed $18 million. By being so meticulous about the tour's image, they paved the way for more ambitious and bigger tours in the years to come. I mean, without Hard Knock Life, do you really think Up in Smoke could have happened? It's unlikely. Of course, 1999 wasn't solely defined by one tour, so there are a few other things I wanted to pick out as well. This was the Hot Boys' moment in the sun, and the mainstream's first real exposure to Lil Wayne. It was the only time the group went platinum together, but provided a great jumping off point for Wayne. 1999 also saw the wider world introduced to Marshall Mathers. Sure, he'd made an album and an EP before, he'd appeared at the Rap Olympics, but now with the backing of Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, and, well, Interscope Records, it was 1999's Slim Shady LP that really catapulted him towards superstardom. An historic year for two great rappers. But there's someone else who had a better year than both Wayne and Eminem. And I kind of can't believe I'm saying this in 2021, but that was Silk the Shocker. Looking back, it makes sense. I mean, No Limit was at the height of their powers, and they could really make anyone a star. And Silk just so happened to be Master P's brother. It's funny how that works out. And that really is it for 1999. I've got about another 50 years to cover, so stick with me as we bounce backwards and forwards through hip-hop history. You know the deal. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, thanks for watching. This is the first one I've done like this, looking intentionally at an individual year. I'm not entirely sold on the format, so let me know what you think of that, and we'll just keep pushing through it, see what other interesting stories we can dig up. Dre with 2001, you had Eminem, you had the Hot Boys, you had P. Diddy, like, all of these are names that still mean something today. Silk the Shocker is not one of those.